guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Kiera, and today I am going to be telling you guys how to create your own content strategy. Now, before I get into telling you guys how to create your own content strategy, I want to explain the difference between a social media strategy and a content strategy. So, your social media strategy is basically your plan on how you're going to approach promoting your business on your desired social media platform. So, that can be YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever platform, right? And basically, with a social media strategy, you're going to be looking at all areas: nurturing your community online, creating content, your engagement strategy, your sales and conversion strategy. All of that works together when it comes to creating a social media strategy online, right? So when it comes to content strategy, we're specifically focusing on the content. We're not necessarily focusing on the engagement, the nurturing the community, and the sales. We're specifically focusing on the content and the type of content we put out and how we show our desired target audience the value we have to offer them. That is our main focus when it comes to creating a content strategy. And that's the difference between a social media strategy and a content strategy. The content strategy is really what you're using to generate leads to, that lead to follow you or that lead to opt into an email, So we're really focusing on, like I said, the value that we're putting out, attracting that desired audience. That's what the content strategy is really centered around and focused on. So the first thing we're going to do with our content strategy is either we're going to create goals or we're going to look at our goals to see if we met our metrics or we met our goals. This is really important about being intentional about what you want to achieve when it comes to social media, because that's going to help you curate your content and know and have an idea of how you want to approach your strategy when it comes to posting content online and social media. Created goals for your social media for your content strategy previously. If you created goals for your previous content strategy, think about what worked and what didn't work. And if you're new, you haven't done anything, think about create goals and then think about what you've seen other people do that you think that you yourself would do differently. Incorporate that. Keep that in the back of your mind because that's going to be really important going forward with creating your content strategy. Now, the next step is research. We're going to be looking at the research. We're going to be looking at what went well, what didn't went well, what new information we want to find out, what do we want to learn about, all that good stuff, right? So the first step in research, if you already been posting, I want you to go through your content and go through your analytics. You can go through it on Instagram. I believe you have analytics on TikTok too. Definitely on YouTube you have analytics. And I want you to go through your analytics and see what videos people responded well to the most. And what I mean by that, what videos had the most likes, the most comments, the most views. I want you to take in consideration of that and kind of look at what you did in those videos and kind of jot some of those things down so you can incorporate that when you're creating new content for this upcoming strategy. And then I want you to look at the videos that didn't do as well, that had low views, that didn't have much engagement, that didn't have that many likes. I want you to look at, okay, what did I do? What did you do in that video and what could you have done differently? Was the content irrelevant to them? Was it not valuable? Or was it your wording, your messaging behind the content? Like, take some time down to really sit back and reflect on what you think could have went wrong. Don't nitpick about it, but just kind of just jot down some ideas and see like, okay, I did this, but I think maybe because I did this didn't work, or maybe I'm not posting consistently because this is why this didn't get that reach, or whatever it may be. Jot that down. So jot down the things that you did see that work, and then jot down the things that you see that didn't necessarily work for you this time around. After you do that, I want you to look at the content that did well, and I want you to think about how you can repurpose that content again. Like I said, I always say we don't reinvent the wheel. We don't reinvent the wheel. We do what works. So whatever content that works, what can you do to repurpose that content? So for an example, let's say I say 5 reasons why people don't make sales on Instagram, or just a hypothetical thing. How I would repurpose that is either I would turn that into a graphic. If that's a reel, I would turn that into either one, a graphic. Two, I would talk about it or pose a question about it on my Instagram story. Or three, I would talk more in depth about one of the reasons I listed as to why people don't make sales on Instagram. So those are three, I think 3 ways I said. Those are different ways that you can repurpose your content. If you can transform that video into a blog or into an email, for your email links or your text marketing image. That's how you will repurpose that content. Obviously, we're focusing on social media, but like that's how you could repurpose a piece of content that does really well. So we write down what we did well, what we didn't do well, and what content we can repurpose. So now that we've done all of that, you kind of have some ideas kind of in your swirling in your brain, honestly. But after we've done that, then we go on social media to kind of see what's going on, what's working, what's going on in the industry, what's working well. What do you see competitors doing? How are their followers responding to their content? What are people saying on your content? Look at what's going on in the industry. What do you want to incorporate? What's trending? Is the trending things that's going on in your industry in alignment with the type of content you want to create? So that's the next step you're going to be doing, like just researching. And to research, you can go on Answer the Public, Quora, Facebook groups, look at your competitors' Instagrams, and just kind of type in keywords and see what comes up. So that would be your next step, is researching what's going on in the industry, how are people responding, what's trending, what can you utilize, what inspiration are you getting based off of the content that you see. Not even like specifically, just like, and what I mean by inspiration, like different editing styles or different shots they have, like what's getting you inspired, what do you want to incorporate, research that and write that down. So the next step we're going to do is plan. You've done your research, you got an idea what you want for, your content. You kind of went through all the nitty gritty. I feel like when it comes to creating a content strategy, the research and ideation is like kind of the biggest part of it, really. Like researching, looking at what went well, what didn't well, your competitors, like that's kind of like the biggest part of creating a content strategy. And I want to add, think of think of anything when it comes to, and when you're in that researching process, write down things that you want to try with your content. Incorporate that into your content. Things that you want to try or ideas that come to mind that you probably haven't seen that you want to incorporate in your content. Include that in your research process as well. The next step is to plan. And so basically planning is writing all of your content ideas down and breaking them down into pillars. And basically, if you don't know what content pillars are, they're basically 3 to 5 topics that you're going to be talking about that relates back to what you do and who your brand is and how you serve your target audience. So, for example, for me, my content pillars are going to be chats with Key, and that's basically like my journey of entrepreneurship, or the insecurities around entrepreneurship, or the struggles around entrepreneurship, just the everyday life in the behind the scenes that entrepreneurs deal with that a lot of business owners don't talk about online. And then my next pillar is going to be strategy. I'm going to be talking about how you can be strategic when it comes to creating content. Then my next pillar is going to be design. So I'm teaching you how to create the content. I'm teaching you how to create graphics, whatever it may be. I'm teaching you the design and creative visual aspects of content creation. And then my fourth pillar is going to be just lifestyle content, and that's going to be my vlogs. That's going to be vlogs of me doing behind the scenes, the behind the scenes, and when I go off to work or do content for a client, or just like my everyday life, or just little snippets I want to show you of the life behind the scenes of entrepreneur that does, content creation for businesses. So that, to give you an example of pillars, that is my pillars for my business. It all relates back to what I do and who I serve and how I can help those people who I serve. I do content creation. I create content creation. I do content creation for businesses, for their social media platforms, and I capture content for them at their events. So all of those pillars that I just listed out relates back to what I do and how I can help that person. Now, I know typically when it comes to pillars, people talk about education, inspire, promo, and all that, but you kind of don't want to be so dense when it comes to that. You kind of want to be really specific, like how I was. So, if you don't have any pillars, this is like my tip to you. I would jot down those uh content the ideas you have and then categorize them, because I'm sure once you categorize them, then you'll have pillars, at least 3 to 4 pillars already, once you categorize those topics that you come up with. I think that's a really easy way. I haven't really seen anyone kind of tell anybody to create content. Is to jot down a whole bunch of ideas they have and then group them into groups and then create the pillar off of that. So that's like my little tip, and that's what I've done for myself to create my content ideas, just to make them more niche and specific to who my brand is and what my brand offers. So yeah, so we're going to create those content pillars, place those ideas that we have under each pillar that it's relevant to. And if you don't, do what I suggested and then create those pillars. And then after we create those pillars, then we're going to go into mapping out the details, creating a content brief. I create a content brief. And what that is, my creative brief is I'm writing out the video topic, I'm writing out my talking points, I'm writing out my captions, and I'm writing out my creative direction shots, like what I want to use or what I want to do, like editing style or like shot wise style or graphic creation, whatever it may be. I'm writing that all out into a content brief so I can know what I'm doing when I'm prepared to film. Right now, I don't use a platform to plan out my content, and I just create a content brief for myself and kind of write it out in that way, just in the Google document. So like while we're in the planning process, I sort my ideas into content pillars. Then, based off once I select my how many whatever content I want to do, whether that's 30 pieces of content, 50 pieces of content, once I decide on the amount of content I want to create for this go round, then I create a content brief. I write out the topics, I write out the captions, the talking points, everything. After I plan all of that out, get all the details, work on the messaging behind the content, as well as creating the visuals for the content or just ideating the visuals for the content, then I go on to filming it. We go on to filming it, editing, all that good stuff, and then we schedule it, we upload it, and then we test it. We see what works. So you plan, film, edit, and schedule. You literally just let the work do it for itself. You watch how it works over the course of a duration of like what 2 weeks to a month. You see how the content does, and then it's a whole cycle. You rinse and repeat. You see what works, you see what didn't work, and it's just a constant ever cycle. And that's basically a content strategy in a nutshell. It's really easy. It's not as complicated or intimidating as it sounds. It's very straightforward and easy. It's really about a content strategy is really about researching and testing and altering. Like that's really all it is. Like researching, testing, and altering things to perfect it. Or whatever that is that you're trying to perfect or to change to curate to make it better. So that's really in a nutshell what a content strategy is. That's how I create my content strategy. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I hope that was straightforward and easy for you guys to comprehend and understand. As always, if you guys have any questions, please leave it in the comments and I'll be more than happy to help you and assist you. As always, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye. Whew. No, because